Today, we're digging into a pretty amazing story about how one hospital in Saudi Arabia built a world-class genomic medicine center, basically from scratch. And this isn't just about a hospital getting an upgrade. It's about creating a blueprint for the future of healthcare. So let's dive in. So let's start with a big question. Imagine going to your doctor, and instead of just getting a standard prescription, you get medicine tailored specifically to your unique genetic code. That's the whole promise of personalized medicine, right? But how do you actually build a system that can do that at scale, especially when you're facing a really specific national health challenge? Right, so to really get the solution, you first have to understand the problem they were trying to solve. And in this case, it was a very, very specific and urgent genetic challenge. Here's the deal. In populations where marriages between close relatives are common, you see a much higher rate of inherited genetic disorders. And we're not talking about a small uptick here. It's a major public health issue that needed a very specialized, proactive solution. And this is where genomic medicine comes into the picture. It's the key concept. This isn't just about scientists in a lab doing research. No, this is about taking a person's complete set of DNA, their entire genome, and using that information in real time to make decisions about their care. We're talking diagnosis, treatment, you name it. It's basically the ultimate in personalized medicine. So faced with this huge challenge, they didn't just go out and buy a new piece of fancy equipment. Nope. They decided they needed to build an entirely new blueprint, a new way of weaving the science into the very fabric of the hospital. And that brings us to the Genomic Medicine Center of Excellence, or the GMCoE. Now, you have to understand, this wasn't just some small side project. It was a key part of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, which is this huge national plan to totally transform healthcare. So right from the get-go, this thing had top-level support. Okay, so what was their secret sauce? What made this model work so well? It was all about integrating these four pillars under one roof. You've got the doctors with the patients, the labs running the tests, the data scientists wrangling all the information, and the researchers pushing the science forward. The magic is that they're all working together, talking to each other, seamlessly. That unified structure is the real game changer. And they moved incredibly fast. I mean, just look at this roadmap. They went from just forming this center in 2021 to rolling out ultra-rapid genome sequencing just a few years later. And their goal is to have this implemented across the entire hospital by 2025. This wasn't a slow and steady project. It was an all-out sprint. Okay, so a great plan and a fast timeline are impressive. But you're probably asking, what were the results? Did it actually work? Let's take a look at the real-world impact this center is having. I mean, just look at these numbers. The demand for these tests just exploded, more than doubling in only 2 years. And that tells you something really important. Doctors all across the hospital were embracing these new tools. They were actually using them. That's a huge sign that this was working. And this is where it gets really powerful, the direct impact on patient lives. Almost a quarter of prenatal tests caught severe diseases, helping families make informed choices. And get this, a staggering 70% of prescriptions were changed based on what a patient's DNA said. In cancer care, a quarter of patients got their therapy adjusted to better target their specific tumor. These aren't just statistics, these are life-changing results. On top of all the clinical wins, the economic case is just staggering. They have this program called flagship for critically ill infants, and it saved the hospital nearly $4 million by helping them avoid costly long-term interventions. The cost of the testing itself? Just over $370,000. That is an unbelievable return on investment. It's proof that this isn't just better medicine, it's smarter medicine. But believe it or not, the story doesn't stop there. The work being done in this one center is having this incredible ripple effect all across the globe. You see, they knew from day one that genomic medicine had a really big problem, a massive data bias. For the longest time, almost all of the world's genomic data came from people of European ancestry. And that's a problem, because it means the tools might not work as well for everyone else. So the GMCoE set out to help fix that. And they didn't just talk about it, they're actively correcting this huge historical imbalance. Before them, there was this giant blind spot in the global databases when it came to Middle Eastern populations. Now, the GMCoE is the single largest contributor from the entire region to a key global database. They're literally putting their population on the genomic map for the whole world to see. And this is the part that just blows my mind. This one center has contributed to the discovery of about 10% of all identified disease genes.
and a full 20%, one-fifth, of all known recessive disorders. Just pause and think about that for a second. That is a monumental impact on our global understanding of human genetics, all coming from one place.
So, what can other hospitals and healthcare systems learn from this remarkable success story? Well, it turns out there's a very clear blueprint that we can all learn from.
It really boils down to a few key things. You gotta have unified leadership, one vision. You have to break down the walls between departments so everyone's working together. One really clever thing they did was let lots of doctors order tests, but had a central team of experts do the final interpretation to make sure the quality was always top-notch. Bringing testing in-house is also critical. It made everything faster and cheaper. And finally, they invested heavily in education to build up their own local talent. That's the playbook. Ultimately, the GMCoE gives us this powerful blueprint for how to actually make genomic medicine a reality. It proves that with the right vision and the right structure, we can move away from one-size-fits-all healthcare to something that's truly personalized. So it leaves us with one last big question. If one hospital can do all of this, what's really stopping every hospital from making our unique DNA the new standard of care?